So how do you actually hunt down a syndicate in an environment that is, mathematically designed to make you stop paying attention?
Oh, that is the million latinum question right there.
Right. I mean, imagine trying to maintain any sort of tactical mindset when you are just surrounded by artificial meteors streaking across a promenade ceiling.
Oh, and you've got vendors hawking those glowing ribbons. Just
Thousands of people, literally thousands of people who are absolutely desperate to just forget their own lives for one night.
It is the ultimate sensory overload. You were describing the Starfall Carnival on Starbase 369, which is where the Epsilon fleet is currently anchored.
Exactly.
And on the surface, it is this flawless, glossy postcard of shore leave, pure escape.
Yeah, the operative word there being surface. Because today we are taking a deep dive into a really fascinating stack of personal logs and mission reports from the crew of the USS Arawyn.
And it is a dense stack, let me tell you.
Yeah, it really is. But we aren't here to just, marvel at the mechanics of a space carnival. Our mission today is to uncover how Starfleet officers process the immense, just crushing psychological pressure of deep space.
Right, the stuff that doesn't make it into the recruitment brochures.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this, because these officers are navigating a genuinely hostile universe, but the hardest thing they have to survive is often, well, their own minds.
It really is. The void of space operates as this constant low-grade terror. It just hums in the background of everything they do.
Yeah, you can't just turn it off.
No, you can't. And what these logs offer is essentially a masterclass in how a crew builds structural supports to balance that staggering weight of their duty with the fundamental biological need to just cope.
To survive the day-to-day.
Exactly. And the fascinating part is that this survival architecture, it doesn't start with phasers or shields.
Oh, it really doesn't.
It starts in the layout of a dining room.
I love this detail so much. Let's look at Vice Admiral Sidra McLaren's quarters.
Oh, this is brilliant.
It is. She is hosting an informal captain's dinner, and her yeoman, a Bajoran named Quinn Lara, is actively directing the furniture arrangement before the guests even arrive.
Right, she's practically conducting an orchestra in there.
Yeah, she tells her team, offset it, we want movement, not a line. Ken Lyra is meticulously eliminating every single hiding spot in the room.
Because she is applying fluid dynamics to a social setting. Think about it. Most people arrange a living room to be comfortable, right?
Right, like pushing the couches against the walls?
Exactly. Creating little pockets where people can sit and just stagnate. But by offsetting the furniture, Quinn Lyra forces a current. She denies anyone the fatical space to retreat into rigid hierarchical corners.
You literally have to keep moving.
Yep, which means you have to keep interacting.
And it looks completely benign to the guests. The table is covered in Beta's chocolates, and Captain Corbin even inadvertently brings a bottle of Boar's Rock Scotch as a host gift.
Which is so funny.
It's hilarious because he is completely unaware that it's actually Sidra's own retired Earth label brand.
He just thought it was a nice bottle.
Right. But beneath the surface of this gathering, there is a highly calculated operation underway, specifically regarding Dr. Claire Dunrose.
Ah, yes. The ambush.
Yes. She walks in expecting this quiet supper with her cousin, Commodore Stephen McCaffrey. And instead, she finds herself ambushed by the entire senior staff of the Epsilon fleet.
Which sounds terrifying. But what's fascinating here is the underlying psychology of Stephen's ambush.
Break that down for us because it feels a little harsh.
Well, the Dunross name carries a massive legacy in this sector. It is a very heavy, preconceived narrative.
Right. Everyone has an opinion on a Dunross.
Exactly. So Stephen knows that if Claire is formally introduced to this fleet through standard official channels, her name will enter the room 10 minutes before she does.
I mean, I get that, but I have to push back a little on his method here. Throwing a junior officer to the wolves without any warning, that seems like it would trigger an intense fight-or-flight response.
Oh, undoubtedly.
So is an ambush really the most supportive way to handle that kind of pressure?
I mean, it creates a temporary spike in stress, yes, absolutely. But it prevents a chronic, years-long stress of being constantly prejudged.
Okay, kind of like ripping off a bandage.
Very much so. Stephen forces these captains to meet Claire, the human being, first. They watch her reach for a plate, they hear her laugh, they engage her in unscripted conversation.
Before they can put up their walls.
Exactly. He gives her the opportunity to establish herself as a highly capable, brilliant officer before their assumptions can just build a wall around her. It is a surgical strike against cognitive bias.
Wow. It really is a brilliant social pressure valve when you frame it like that.
It's very intentional.
But, social pressure is just the tip of the iceberg here. Because as we move through the Arawyn's logs, we see that a clever dinner party cannot manage the lingering systemic trauma of deep space survival.
Right, you need more than a good seating chart.
Exactly. The internal pressures require deeply personal outlets. For instance, Lieutenant Nick Miller, the ship's counselor, uses a childhood yo-yo to manage his chronic insomnia.
Which is such a specific, grounded detail. The yo-yo is a perfect example of kinetic regulation.
Explain that a bit more.
Well, when an officer is hypervigilant, when their nervous system is constantly, scanning for the next hull breach or plasma fire, telling them to just relax is actually counterproductive.
It almost makes it worse.
It does. The rhythm of a yo-yo provides a predictable physical feedback loop. It anchors a drifting, anxious mind to the simple, unbreakable laws of gravity and momentum.
That makes total sense. And you see a similar pursuit of control with Commander Susanna Battenberg, the executive officer.
Yes, the meditation sessions.
Right. She sits on the floor with her acting chief engineer, Ryan Collingway, and guides him through Vulcan meditation. But she isn't just trying to calm his breathing.
No, she has a very specific target.
She is actively helping him process suppressed trauma regarding his criminal father. She specifically zeroes in on the word beneath.
It's intense work. And Vulcan meditation is often misunderstood by people as a tool to just erase emotion.
Like flipping a switch to turn off feelings.
Exactly. But in practice, it is a method to organize the mind so that trauma can be examined without the amygdala just constantly sounding the alarm.
So it's a safe room.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Susanna is creating a sterile cognitive environment where Ryan can finally look at his past safely.
And Ryan pairs that internal work with external action, which I found really interesting. He spends his off hours building this highly customized, replicator-equipped hover cart.
Named Sunny.
Named Sunny. He builds it for Alura, the Morale, Welfare, and Recreation Director. And you realize when space is entirely intangible and dangerous, he channels his anxiety into engineering something tangible, something helpful.
He is physically assembling order out of chaos.
Exactly.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, all of these behaviors are vital mechanisms for kinetic and emotional release.
Yeah.
But sometimes a yo-yo or a hover cart just isn't enough to process the sheer volume of adrenaline these officers generate. Sometimes the body demands a much more visceral reset.
Which brings us to the Sparrow Club.
Yes, the Sparrow Club.
Chief Tactical Officer Grayson McKinney takes Holodeck 2 and just strips away all the Starfleet polish.
No piscine white walls in there.
None. He turns it into a gritty, sweat-stained MMA gym that he formally calls the Anderson Silva Combat Institute. It literally smells like canvas and resin.
It's so visceral.
And Grayson is very explicit about the rules. He tells them this is not a place for unchecked aggression. He says it's about physics.
Because he is teaching them how to process impact. I mean, in Starfleet, you constantly rely on shields, structural integrity fields, and safety protocols.
There's always a buffer.
Right. McKinney removes all of that. He strips away rank so the crew can learn resilience in its purest, most basic form.
The visual of this in the logs is just incredible. You have Counselor Chris Emerson sparring fiercely with this massive security officer, Inga Sorensen.
Quite the mismatch on paper.
Totally. But the best moment is when Security Chief Ayev Flamia walks in. Now, Ayev is currently weaning himself off telepathic inhibitors, so his mind is a very loud, chaotic place right now.
It's got to be agonizing.
Yeah, so he shows up with his highly sarcastic hologram, Ignis. And Ignis clearly expects some kind of underground illicit brawl.
Like a secret fight club.
Right. But instead, he looks around and realizes he's basically walked into a highly structured group therapy session.
That's exactly what it is. McKinney is running a psychological laboratory wrapped in chain-link fencing.
I love that description.
He understands that before you can handle the unpredictable, lethal chaos of the frontier, you really have to master your own internal chaos. You have to know exactly how you will react when you are physically hit.
Right. And Grayson's tactical brilliance isn't just confined to the physical either. He operates with an intensely analytical framework.
Oh, we see that very clearly later on.
We do when he leaves the holodeck and steps into the Gold Spiral Casino on the promenade. He walks in with his security chief, Pavel, who makes a bet with him.
1 bar of latinum.
1 bar of latinum that Grayson can't stay hidden in this casino for 30 minutes.
Which is a bold bet, but a casino is the ultimate testing ground for McKinney's worldview. Well, it is a chaotic system built entirely on human nature, observation, and probability.
So, perfectly in his wheelhouse. Except, Grayson loses the bet in 11 minutes.
Yeah, that didn't take long.
A Ferengi named Damon Burl corners him to collect a 4-year-old Dabo debt. And the debt happens to be a ceremonial energy whip, which is just an amazing detail.
The things Starfleet officers end up owing.
I know. So to clear the debt, Grayson has to enter a private, high-stakes game of Tongo.
And for anyone listening who might be unfamiliar, Tongo is essentially a Ferengi combination of roulette and poker.
Right, it's incredibly complex.
It is. The entire strategy relies on reading the greed and fear of the other players at the table.
It requires extreme psychological precision.
Exactly. You have to spot the microscopic leaks in someone's composure.
And Grayson does this effortlessly at first. I mean, he spots a bullion trade commissioner whose shoulder drops just a fraction of an inch when he has a strong hand.
Such a tiny tell.
Yeah, and he identifies a young Ferengi woman as the most dangerous player at the table just by the way she controls her breathing.
He's just scanning the room like a computer.
But there is one player at the table who is a complete void.
Yeah.
A Kardashian. Grayson cannot read him at all. And then Pavel, who is watching from the bar, manages to slip Grayson a napkin with 2 words written on it.
Obsidian Order.
Yes, Obsidian Order.
Now, the Obsidian Order is the Kardashian intelligence agency, and their operatives are a completely different breed.
They really are.
Think about it. A normal person feels an emotion, say, anxiety over a weak hand, and their brain sends an involuntary signal to their body, resulting in a tell.
Like the shoulder drop.
Right. A poker face is just an attempt to suppress that signal. But an Obsidian Order operative doesn't suppress the signal. Through brutal childhood conditioning, they have been trained to never feel the primary emotion in the first place.
Wow.
You cannot read them because there's literally nothing to read.
So psychology becomes completely useless.
Utterly useless.
So if you can't read the person, you have to change the game. And Grayson does. He stops looking for emotional signals. He stops trying to read the room and shifts entirely back to the mechanics he teaches in the Sparrow Club.
Pure, clean physics.
Pure physics. He plays the mathematical probabilities of the Tongo wheel. He locates his firing solution and executes it without second-guessing.
He just removes the human element entirely.
Yeah.
It is a brilliant adaptation.
He clears his debt, walks away with the latinum, and even earns a rare nod of respect from the Kardashian.
Not an easy thing to get.
Not at all. But the irony here is just staggering, honestly. Because while Grayson is in the casino demonstrating this genuine, lethal insight into the people around him, the carnival outside is harboring someone who makes their living by faking that exact same skill.
Ah, yes. Gala,
Yeah.
the fortune teller. This perfectly illustrates the difference between seeking truth and seeking comfort.
It really does. So Dr. Rhea Amberlin, who actually learned tarot from her mother as a child, sits down in Gyla's tent. And Gyla proceeds to completely botch a Celtic cross spread.
Just completely gets it wrong.
She pulls the 7 of Swords, a card universally known in tarot to represent deception, secrecy, and betrayal. And Gala looks Rhea straight in the eye and claims it represents transparency and openness.
It is a hilarious collision of hubris and actual expertise. Gala just assumes her clients are too distracted or too ignorant to notice the lie.
But Rhea notices, and her response is phenomenal. She doesn't yell, she doesn't flip the table, she just leans in and calmly explains that the spread isn't reflecting Rhea's future at all.
No, it's reflecting Gala.
Exactly. The cards are reflecting Gyla's present. Rhea surgically dismantles the fraud, pointing out Gyla's complete reliance on misdirection and improvisation.
But, the broader psychological question here is, why highly trained Starfleet officers would ever sit in that tent in the first place?
Right, why are they even there?
Because traumatized people crave certainty. When the universe feels entirely unpredictable, even a fake prophecy provides a temporary anchor.
That makes a lot of sense.
Gala isn't just selling bad tarot readings, She is weaponizing their need for comfort.
So what does this all mean when the faked comfort turns into a literal toxin? Because we quickly learn from these logs that Gala is offering her clients a drink from something she calls the waters of Boreth.
Which is a Klingon spiritual reference to sound mystical.
Right. But she is actually lacing the cauldron with a synthetic drug called enhancement tokens. They are hallucinogens designed to make the carnival lights look brighter and the music sound sweeter.
Which represents a massive, massive security vulnerability.
Exactly. Ensign Walker takes a drink and ends up hallucinating monsters on an empty promenade. And Counselor Nick Miller, the same officer using the yo-yo to manage his insomnia, he willingly drinks the spiked water.
He just wants a break.
Yeah. He ends up sitting in the tent philosophizing about the death card, before wandering out into the carnival, remembering a time he ran naked from spiders at the academy.
The imagery is absurd, yes, but the implications are terrifying. You have an active drug syndicate operating in the middle of a crowded civilian and military space.
Under everyone's noses.
Yeah, and they are targeting officers whose judgment is already compromised by severe exhaustion.
And this drug ring inevitably catches the attention of Fleet Command, which brings our analysis full circle right back to Vice Admiral Sidra McLaren.
The architect of the dinner party.
Very same. We saw her control the subtle, fluid dynamics of a dinner party. Now we see how she controls a live crisis. Sidra and Lieutenant Quinn Lyra are observing the promenade from a balcony.
Just watching the crowd.
Right. Suddenly, a panicked drug runner who got spooked by a routine security patrol tries to barrel up their ramp.
And he makes the fatal error of trying to push past an admiral to secure his escape route.
Which is a bad idea. Sidra doesn't draw a weapon. She barely even flinches. She simply steps one pace to the side, uses the runner's own frantic momentum against him, and pins him face down to the deck.
It is Sparrow Club physics applied effortlessly in the real world.
It truly is. But, the physical takedown is impressive, sure.
Absolutely.
But her command decisions in the aftermath are what truly define her leadership in this situation.
This raises an important question, really, for anyone in a management or command role. How do you balance the absolute necessity of morale with the strict mandate of security?
It's a tightrope. Because a reactionary commander would have sounded the alarms right then and there.
Oh, they would have flooded the promenade with security teams.
Interrogated all the vendors and shut the Starfall Carnival down immediately.
Which would have induced a mass panic and essentially destroyed the very shore leave the fleet desperately needed. You have to remember, panic is a psychological contaminant.
That's a great way to put it.
Sidra refuses to shut down the carnival. She knows her crews need the music, the sugar, and the false glowing stars. She understands that tolerating a chaotic festival is not the same thing as being blind to its dangers.
So she orders a quiet, invisible lockdown.
So smart.
She tells Quinn Lyra to discreetly freeze all vendor resupply access, just under the guise of a manifest error. And her most brilliant move, she orders an immediate audit of the station's waste reclamation logs.
That is just genius.
It is, because, as she points out, people lie. Manifests can be forged. But waste systems are entirely objective.
The plumbing doesn't lie.
Exactly. If a syndicate is moving synthetic drugs through sample cups, the biological and chemical waste will prove it. She casts this invisible net, excising the rot without ever letting the resting crews know their sanctuary was even compromised.
She actively protects the illusion of safety. She absorbs the administrative and tactical burden so her people can actually experience the emotional rest they desperately require. That right there is the zenith of empathetic leadership.
It truly is. And as the logs conclude, the repair window for the USS Arawyn finally closes. We see the ship slipping away from the outer pylons of Starbase 369, heading back out into the cold dark of the Spinward March.
Back to the frontier.
Yeah. The carnival is packed up, the artificial meteors are turned off, and fleet operations returns to its relentless rhythm.
But the pressure valves have done their job. The crew is stepping back into the void, but they are returning to it with their internal architecture reinforced.
That's such a powerful takeaway. And imagine stepping into your own life with that level of intentionality.
Oh, it changes everything.
Whether you are navigating the subtle power dynamics of a family dinner or managing conflict in your workplace or just trying to find clarity in a chaotic environment, survival requires balance.
It does.
It requires knowing exactly when to rely on your intense analytical training and when you need to drop your guard and lean on your people.
Because the pressure of the universe is a constant.
Yeah.
The only variable you actually control is how you build your mind to withstand it.
Exactly. I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder as we close out this deep dive. Think about the uniforms you wear every single day. I'm talking about the titles, the roles, and the heavy expectations you carry into every room you enter.
We all have them.
We do. When the extreme pressure hits, when the standard safety protocols of your life are suddenly turned off and there is no one left to impress what is left beneath, when the uniform is gone, are you left with chaos, or are you left with the pure, unshakable physics of who you really are?